just check this. Okay, all good there. All right, sorry I had to start a different live than the one I had scheduled because I put the wrong orientation. But welcome back. I have been gone for quite a long time. I think I've been gone the whole summer. It's just been one of those summers. Sometimes life happens, and this was something I just didn't have time to do this summer. And I do apologize for being away. Hopefully people might be able to see me. I'm trying to see if I'm up on my other screen. It's not popping up. Come on. Supposedly I'm live, but as usual with YouTube, sometimes things don't pop up where I want them to. So there we go. Okay. Let me see if I can get that. And then let me make sure my volume's all the way down. All right. Okay. We're looking good. We can see my screen. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for hanging in if you're still a subscriber to my channel, and the fact that I have been gone for so long. Like I said, it has just been a little bit crazy for me, and I just haven't had the time to really put together videos. I tried to do a video in early September. That was a catalog walkthrough. Didn't have time to really get that edited and up. And then I also wanted to show the final virtual album retreat. I completed all of the pages for the virtual album retreat, but I didn't get a chance to film that video. So I have been doing things. The combination of life and trying to get filming done just never worked for me. And this is actually a projects that I'm going to show you that are part of a retreat that I'm heading to on Wednesday. And I've been trying to get these all set and ready to go as swaps. And so I've been focused heavily on trying to get those done. So what I wanted to do, and I'm hoping, because I'm not seeing a lot of movement. Okay, good. I see everything's working on the YouTube side. I wanted to show you the projects and the products. And one of my goals with this is I signed up for a layout project, I signed up for a card project, and I signed up for really what's called an embellishment project. And so you can kind of see that I've got 3 projects here that I used from the current mini catalog. And my goal was that I wanted to stick with one paper suite and really one or stamps that were within that paper suite as well. And I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. So as you can see, I've got a 2-page layout here that we're going to talk through. I've got this card. We're actually going to build this card today because this is sort of where I started with the project. And then we're going to talk about the little embellishment pieces. But first, I kind of wanted to talk about the suite itself that I selected and what I've been working with. So I'm going to just put this off to the side. So this is all part of the mini catalog that is the September to December. And the suite that I am working with is called The Traditions of Christmas, which is a very traditional holiday type suite where you've got a lot of reds and greens, but we've introduced pinks and really dark blues into this as well as gold. So I'll show you the paper in a minute, but these are the papers up here. The other thing that I also got were the 2 stamp sets that were part of this collection. So the traditional label stamp and die set, which you can see here, and the Christmas greenery stamp and die set, as well as I got the Bling, which is called traditional sparkling sequins. And these are actually really flat. These are not domed or anything. They're actually very flat, a little bit concave even when you put your finger on them. So I'm going to put those up and away for right now because we're not going to use those. I didn't buy the ribbon and I didn't buy the embossing folder because what I was thinking about using, these two pieces didn't really fit. I don't use a lot of ribbon, so it didn't make sense. So again, I decided that I was going to stick with the pieces that were part of the stamp and die sets. So the stamp being the Christmas greenery, which has a number of stamps that we're actually going to use. And then the dies, which you can actually use to cut out pieces from the paper. So I'll show you that in a minute. And then the seasons, the traditional labels, I thought these were great labels. And then I got the die set to match those. So that's this die set here. So those are the two die sets that that I picked. Then the third stamp set that I went with was actually Keeping Traditions, which is part of the Scrapbooking piece, and I think that's it's further back in the catalog. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Here we go. Sorry, I probably should have had this page marked before I started online. Here we go. So this is the Scrapbooking workshop, which has again the papers that were part of this traditional Christmas set. It has a sticker sheet. I did not do this. I just bought the paper. I didn't get the sticker sheet, but I did get the paper pack that had the coordinating colors from the Scrapbooking, and then the Keeping Traditions set, because this is a really useful holiday set for scrapbooking. So this I thought would be very, very useful to do with my thought process. So again, I did the papers, I did the cardstock, two-tone cardstock pack, and then the Keeping Traditions, along with again the stamps and dies that were part of this. So that's all from the mini catalog. So the paper pack, this is the paper pack. So let me just move a few things out of the way here so that I do not get them all messed up, get them sort of out of my way. This is the paper that is the traditional Christmas paper collection. And so you've got these big bold prints, and there's a lot of gold that is part of this. So there is a ton of gold in this paper. But the back side is also very usable and much smaller scale patterns that you can use for lots of things. And I'm going to show you kind of how I did that. So that's the front and back of the first paper there. This is, again, a hero paper. And this one, if you take from the Christmas greenery, if you take this die from Christmas greenery, you actually get to die cut out these floral clusters. And that's what I used. I took this piece of paper and I die cut out those floral clusters and got these pieces here. So no stamping required, just taking the die and cutting it out from the paper. And that's a really quick way to get elevated paper clustering or paper piecing. So again, the back side of this is just this is olive green, I believe, stripe and dot pattern. Again, really, really nice pattern, easy to use on lots of different things. All right, so that's paper number 1 or 2. Paper number 3 is again a big hero paper, big pieces. And again, if you go back to the greenery, again, I'm going to mess this up, Christmas greenery die set, there is another die that will also cut out, oops, got to get it the right way, here we go, like this, we'll cut out these pieces. And this is what I'm actually using on the card. So I took a piece of this paper and I cut out this from the hero paper, and that's how I am using using it on this card. So again, no stamping, no coloring, no nothing. I'm just cutting directly from this paper. And so if you don't feel comfortable with your coloring, or you don't want to do stamping and then coloring. This is a great paper pack for the holidays, just to be able to take it and cut out all of these pieces using the die. This has another beautiful, this is Secret Sea. I really love this color. It's probably one of my favorite colors. So again, a nice horizontal stripe, or sorry, a diagonal stripe on that one. Again, another big hero paper. Now this one I did use a little bit of this, and it's got a polka dot, the red, real red polka dot on it. So again, really, really nice piece there. We're going to see, I use this on the layout. I use this paper on the layout. And then we've got this really bold red and gold. Red, gold, pink in there. And that, it's crazy bold. These kinds of papers I really struggle with because I don't, with scrapbooking, this is too intense in my mind. It takes too much power. And so what I ended up doing is I figured out how to use it in smaller batches. So I used it to put on my envelope lip here. And then I also used it on the card in small 1/4 inch strips to highlight that paper. So it's less intense. When you have a paper like this that is really intense, cutting it down, making it smaller, making it more compact really does make it easier to work with, I think. And then on this side, we have a square pattern with, again, that old olive color. And then the last paper is, again, another very large floral that you can use in small bits. I didn't use this pattern on the hero side on any of my projects. So this was one of the ones I didn't use, but I did use the back side, which is this gingham paper here. So again, lots and lots of really usable papers, I think, for the holidays to make cards with or to make layouts with this Traditions of Christmas. The other paper, as I mentioned, that I used was the cardstock. So I did get the cardstock bundle, and I did use quite a bit of this bundle. And it has in it real red. So you have the real red, you have cherry cobbler, you have white, and you have old olive. And then this sort of unexpected color, which, let me just double check that I've got the right color here. Oh, interesting. It doesn't say, but I believe that's Lost Lagoon. But let's double check, because I don't want to steer people wrong. Pool Party, sorry, Pool Party is here. And then you also get Secret Sea. So the colors again are cherry cobbler, real red, old olive, Pool Party, Secret Sea, white willow. And so those are all the colors that come in the coordinating cardstock packet, and you get 2 sheets of each. All right, so that's how I built the pages. One thing I will say is that if you're an old close to my heart person, and you might have cardstock that you don't want to buy more cardstock, you want to use cardstock that you have. Secret Sea, Harbor is really close to Secret Sea. You could probably get away with Harbor. Lagoon is really close to Pool Party. And a very old color called Fern is super close to the old olive. It is really hard. I mean, there is a slight difference. It's a little bit deeper in color, the old olive, than the fern, but the backside is where you actually see the difference more than you do in the true side or the full side. So it's so if you have fern, that also works. So don't be afraid to look through your stash and see if there's colors that are close to the colors, if you don't want to buy any more cardstock, because I know a lot of us have a lot of cardstock in our stash, and it'd be nice to use it up, right? Be able to use it and put it on layouts. So like I said, I think Lagoon is close enough to Pool Party. Harbor is very close to the Secret Sea. Fern, again, very old color of close to my heart, is close to the Old Olive, just as possible substitutions. Okay, so let's talk about the projects a little bit themselves. And the project, like I said, that started this off was this card project that I had. And what I did is I again used the combination of the tags, right? So this, as part of the traditional labels die, I use this to have the saying, and the saying came from those traditional labels stamp set, Season's Greetings. So again, they are meant to go with this set, and it just had the right kind of bend where I could make it work on this banner that I really liked. And so that was what started it. When I did this card concept actually came from Jennifer McGuire. That a couple of weeks back, she did a YouTube video for Tim Holtz's launch that is actually, I think, going on today, if I remember correctly. And she did this cutout panel idea, and I thought, gosh, that would be fun. Could I make that work for this card that I need to do as part of this swap that I'm going to? And so this is how it came about, using the dies and then taking that hero paper. So then I decided, okay, how can I build a scrapbook layout based off of some of this? And so what I came up with is this scrapbook layout, and we're going to see how these two pair together. I took smaller strips of the papers from the paper pack, and you can see, again, I cut down to a very narrow width. This is 3/4 of an inch wide of this very bold paper that was part of that kit, or part of that paper pack, DSP, so that it can be highlighted but not overtake the layout. Then I have a strip here of white where I took the combination of the seasonal labels. So again, I've got Tis the Season from Seasonal Labels. I think that's the only one I used from that one. And then from the Keeping Traditions, I got Cheer, Celebrate, Fa La La, Joy, Holly Jolly, Magic, Make Merry. So I used almost all of these going down this side with the colors that were primary in this collection. So the Real Red, the Old Olive, the Secret Sea, and the Cherry Cobbler. And I just alternated those down this page. And then on the right-hand side, I took the Christmas, the really large Christmas, and then Traditions, and put it over here. I wanted to pull in some of the other pieces that were part of this set. And so what that meant was, how could I utilize some of the other pieces that were part of the die set? So the die had had this sort of pine bough, which is where I got the pine boughs, and I just used, again, the Old Olive and the Secret Sea. And then there was also these holly leaves, and I thought the holly leaves would look great using gold to pull in the gold that is part of the paper pack itself. So I used the gold leaves, and then the holly berries are part of this as well, and I did those in the Cherry Cobbler. And then my mats are the Old Olive mats. So again, I really tried to bring all of the pieces from this particular stamp and die set, these two stamp and die sets, to make it cohesive and to have these things kind of go together when you look at them. You'll notice that I have this cutout where I have the paper from the paper pack glued here. So what I did is I went ahead and I stamped this on the card, and then when I went to die cut it, I had this piece available where I could add it right there on top of this cluster here at the top. So I was utilizing those pieces for that. Okay, so that's the layout itself. The third one is really quite simple, and the third one is, again, the cut using the die, cutting out the hero paper. I took that same pine bough, but this time, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, I actually cut it out of the patterned paper. And let me pull out a piece of the leftover patterned paper so that you can see that. And what that does is that gave me a little bit more texture for sitting behind that piece. I had a bunch of the pine boughs cut out in the standard, in the regular paper, in the just the Secret C. Sorry, I'm having a hard time pulling out my pieces here. Trying to get one that I can actually pull out. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. It's I use the dot, the Secret C dot paper. And I cut the pine boughs out of that, and that just it actually makes it look, it has more texture to it. It has more oomph behind it, right? And I really liked how that had that additional piece versus just the flat paper. I probably could have done the same thing over on the layout and done that to add a little bit more texture here, but I probably would have run out of this paper. So so it ended up working out okay, not having it over on the layout. But if I had enough of the paper, I might have gone back to switch that out to add this to add some more texture. Again, I've got the gold holly leaves. And then what I have, what's behind this is the pool party. And coming back again to the labels, I took this label and I cut that out of the pool party cardstock that was part of the paper pack. And then I backed it with one of the arches, so the everyday arches. So this is the only thing that was not part of the suite. Obviously, this was in the last online exclusives or last catalog. I can't remember if it was online exclusive or the last catalog. But I took one of the arches to back that and use that. And then from the stylish shapes, I took the smaller of, not the smallest, the second to smallest of the stylish shapes to create this. Now this you can certainly create without using a die. This one just gave me that dot border underneath it. So I had it, so I decided I would use it. And then the December to Remember came again from the Keeping Traditions set, and I just did that in real red. So the paper is real red, pool party, and then the patterned paper from the DSP. And so I just layered those things together to create this embellishment. And then I used obviously I used some of the bling from the traditional sparkling sequins piece. And I just layered it all together. So it was really simple to take something that, you know, I could easily cut out from the DSP to create these embellishments. And I did end up with two different sort of styles, one with the red and then one with the sort of pool party colored flowers there. Okay, so that was a lot of explanation on what I did. What I want to do now is I actually want to build this card with you. And this is actually, I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to just move this out of the way. I'm going to show you how to do this so that you can somewhat do an assembly line and make that a little bit easier for you. So Okay, so I just want to make sure I got everything together. So what I did is I created a little tray of all of my items. And these are all my cut strips. These are 1/4 inch by 5 1/4 because that's the size of my card. I've cut out all of my pieces from the DSP, and I have, sorry, I got a lot in this little tray because I have to make a bunch of cards. And then I've got the Season's Greetings where I've done all the embossing already. And then I have a bunch of the little pieces of greenery here. So I've done all of that prep work before I got to this stage. And now it's just a matter of creating the 10 cards that I need to create. And we're not going to do all 10 cards today. I'll do those over the next day or two. But I wanted to show you how to go about doing this. So now that I have essentially what I would call my template, I'm going to bring out my Misty because I need things to be in the same place every time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my card down on my Misty, make sure I'm in my corners, and I'm going to grab my Christmas greenery set. And I'm going to take my main piece, my main flower piece here, and again, making sure that this is firmly in its corner. I'm going to use this as my template to know where to put this stamp set. And I'm going to just double check that everything is looking good. It's this piece is a little bit in the way, but that's okay. Okay, so we've got that piece down. Then we also have this flower, which is again this flower right here. And we are going to line this up in that spot as well. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see that pretty well. I'll hold this up. But essentially what I did is I took my template and I'm laying my stamps in their respective spots based off of this card that I created. So then I'm going to come down and I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get that attached. And hopefully I can gently remove this to not damage the card too much. There we go. And now we can move on to our next step. So now that we have the placement for this, we can go ahead and grab our cards and we can start stamping. So we can, again, make this assembly line in the stamping process. So we can grab the first card, and I'm using real red in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my real red, and we're going to go ahead and ink up our pieces here. Sorry, everything kind of shifted there. We just double check that that looks good. That, I'm going to go ahead and grab my little pressure thing to help make sure we get good pressure on this. And then we're going to lift up and we've got the first card done. So then what we're going to do is we're going to switch this out like so. Ink it up again. And again, do this. So you can see how this can make it really fast. Once you kind of know what you're doing or know what your layout is or your card is going to look like, then this becomes really a matter of assembly line, of just getting things placed in the right place, having everything cut out and ready to go, and you get to just, I don't want to say mindlessly, but now it just becomes automatic, right? That whole process. Okay, so got 3 of those done. We'll do one more, and then I'm going to show you the second thing we need to do with the inking, because we're not quite done yet. Okay, so we'll do this guy like so. All right, so if you look at the card, I have a flower on this left side and a flower on the right side and a flower on the left side. So I need to get that flower also in the right place. Now, I forgot to get my chamois, so what I'm going to do, so I don't get my fingers too messy and mess up my cards, I'm going to just go ahead and put a piece of paper in here, and we're going to go ahead and do this. Just try to get some of the ink off of it so my fingers don't get quite as messy. And hopefully I got a good amount of ink off. I'm going to just go ahead and go like that. Yeah, that got some more ink. Sorry, I didn't think about getting my chamois. Okay, so I've done the first half of the card. Now I have to do, like I said, I have to do the second side. So I'm going to go ahead and take this piece off, the big piece, because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to say that I've done all 10 of the cards that I need to make. And that I'm ready to start on my next one. So again, I need to lay this back into my MISTI, make sure that it's in the right spot. I'm going to peel up my my stamp, and I am going to place that in that left side spot. And again, same thing, we're going to pick that up like so. And we should be able then to put our card back down, ink this one up. I don't want that because I very well could make a mess. I got ink all over my MISTI. Normally it won't touch, but just on the safe side, I'm going to pick that up. Make sure that this card is in the right spot, and then do that. Okay, so it's, even though it's assembly line, because I only have one of those flowers, I have to do it in a 2-step process to get all of the stamping itself done. So again, we're going to ink up. Not so good at keeping the ink off of the MISTI this time. Again. And we'll go ahead and do one more here. Okay. Now the nice thing is this is actually, we're going to die cut these flowers out, so you're actually going to be able to use these on another project, very similar to how I use the top piece. I could use these little flowers on another project as well. So that's cool. I tried to figure out if I could use it on one of the projects that I was doing. It just didn't end up working out for me very well. Okay, so now we've got those 4 done. So now we've got those stamped. We're going to set this aside for the moment because we will need that one more time. We'll need the MISTI one more time. So the next step, we'll close this up so we don't get ink everywhere. Make sure I don't have too much ink on my hands before I start handling these cards, because that tends to be something I do, is I end up with ink on my hands and then I transfer it to a card and then I'm very upset. It's fixable, but it's annoying. Okay, so just wipe my hands off a little bit there. Okay, and we'll get rid of that. Okay, so now we have to die cut these out. So I'm going to go ahead and bring over my dies. And we are going to die cut out. Make sure I've got this going the right way. I'm going to use just some low-tack tape, and we are going to align this and tack it down like so. Okay. Now I might be able to get this second one here, but it is going to be awfully tight to do that. So I'm going to actually run this through my die cutting machine twice. Actually, it'll be 3 times by the time I'm done. If I didn't have them so close together, it wouldn't be such a big deal. So I'm going to just move this out of the way, bring in my die cutting machine, and again, I'm laying it on my die cutting machine. I actually have the old Close to My Heart one. It still works for me, so I'm not going to buy another machine. I have a very small space, and things that work, that aren't broken, do not get replaced until they're broken. And that's my philosophy, is if it's working for you and there's no problems with it, then there's no reason to replace it, especially when these machines are as expensive as they are. Okay, so that then cut out, gently trying to peel that up. So I was able to cut out that piece. And now this piece, I'm going to put in another bucket to build my layouts. So these are all of my embellishment pieces. And so I've got all these pieces that I can use for that right page embellishment. And I'll bring that back in so that people can see again what that looked like. So you see I have that stamp now been die cutted out, and I can use as an embellishment on top of my layout. Okay, so the second thing that I need to cut out is I need to cut out the flowers, right? The flowers also need to be cut out. So we're going to grab, again, the low-tack tape. I'm going to have to run this through twice because there's only one flower, this style, that is in the die set. So again, I'm going to put this in, we're going to cut this, and then we'll do the other side. And like I said, this then becomes an assembly line, because once I've got everything stamped the first time, all I need to do is just line these up and stamp them again, or die cut them, right? So I just have to go through and do those die cuts. And so we'll gently lift that off. And this particular die cut, we're just going to put off to the side because we're not going to be using it. Okay, so then we're going to do this one. Get that lined up as best we can. And we'll die cut this guy. And then for today, we'll be done with this particular. I'm not going to do all the cards. I'm not going to die cut all of them on screen here. I'm just going to do this one, and then we'll build this card. But you understand the process hopefully now about how to go about doing it. All right. So we've got this guy. That one got a little bit close to the edge. Okay, that one I'm going to have to adjust, because for some reason that one got a little bit closer than I thought. So I might not be able to use this card because it actually cut right there, and I didn't expect it to do that. So I might have to play around with my spacing a little bit. So let's go ahead. And we'll still work with this card. We'll still walk through the whole process. But like I said, if I can't fix that, then I may have to go ahead and recut a new card, which is fine. It's only paper. And I don't want to stress about only paper. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fold this and use our bone folder to get it to lay flat. Okay. Like that. And then our next step for this particular card is that we actually have to stamp the flowers that are in those openings, okay? Because that's going to be on the inside of the card. Those flowers are going to be on the inside of that card. And hopefully you can see that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open this up and place it, again, place this card other side. So we're looking now at the inside of the card, and we've got this particular stamp still here on the left. But I want it to be second generation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another piece of paper to lay in there. I'm going to take my stamp set, my stamp pad, I mean. Let's make sure that we're on camera. And I'm going to go ahead and ink up this side. And we're going to stamp off because I don't want first generation, I want second generation. So we're going to take that, and then we're going to bring this in, and again, use our pressure. Give it a minute to let it sink, and you can see we've got a nice second generation stamp. Okay, I'm going to bring this in again, like so, and just take off any ink again, because that way my fingers will not get quite as messy. And we're going to fold this down, take the stamp off, and we're going to lay the stamp in that opening. Go ahead and close that up, and then open this back up again. Make sure this is in the corner. Open that back up and do that same process. Now, obviously, if I was doing this assembly line, I would do the left side all at once, and then I'd switch over to the right side. I wouldn't do it the way I'm doing it right now. But we're going to go ahead and take that, stamp on our scratch paper, and then come in and do second generation here. Like that. Okay, so that gives us our 2 second generations, but I actually want to make these pop a little bit more, and you can see that there is a stamp that will stamp the center. So I'm going to grab that stamp off of my little carrier. Again, simple little stamp. This is going to be first generation, and I'm going to just place that right in the middle there, as best I can to the middle, and that will give me that nice strong center in that particular flower. And then the other thing that I want to do is I want to mirror the cutout leaves on the inside. So that's using Old Olive. So we're just going to pull out the Old Olive, and we're going to grab another block, and we're going to grab that leaf, bow vine. It's a, I'm not sure what it is, but it's like a pine frond. And then I'm going to just, oops, I didn't mean to do that. So we'll go like that and like that. And again, just adding a little bit of interest. Now, I could also put that onto my Misty and stamp, but I do find that this way is probably a little faster and easier to do it like that. Okay, so we are now done with the Misty part and the stamping for this card. So we'll go ahead and set that aside. And so now we're going to bring in our pre-cut pieces. And this should have dried already, so we should be good. I need 2 strips of the red and gold paper. So that's going to be, don't want to lose that. That's going to be the first thing. And I'm going to put that at the top and the bottom. And I'm going to just find my tape runner. I know a lot of people who make cards use liquid glue. I'm a tape runner girl because I'm a scrapbooker. And liquid glue and I don't really get along very well. So I am dropping this down just a smidge. I want a little bit of the white of the card to show at the top. I don't want to go straight up to the top. That's a personal preference. If you like it where this goes straight all the way to the top of the card, by all means do that. But for me, I really like having just a little bit of white space both at the top and the bottom. So again, a little bit of tape runner, and then at the bottom, a little bit of a space, like so, and we've got that. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our piece. And essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to lay it into that opening, because it is the exact same die cut that we used to cut that opening. So it will fit exactly in there. And again, I'm just trying to get the little edge pieces so that I make sure that those stick down when the card opens. That's probably the most important, because these little edges, or these little pieces here, these little fronds and things, are the things that'll get caught when the card tries to get opened. So again, I'm just laying it right in there, and then I'm gonna open it up like so and make sure it's nice and flat. Okay, so then the next piece is we're going to grab one of our greetings, our season's greetings, and this we're going to put up on, whoops, everything fell down. Set that off to the side. We can use dimensionals for this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of dimensionals, probably 3, to go along that part, that bottom part, to give our saying. And I'm going to place that right about there, I think. Yeah, right about there. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some of my pre-cut boughs, leaves. Oh, interesting. That did not sit in the right spot. This card has to get remade. Okay, you can see that on the right side we're good, but on the left side somehow the placement got skewed. So I'm gonna have to play around with that because I had a problem with that placement. But we're gonna go ahead and finish this just so that you can see the final. And I will figure out where I made the mistake, because I thought I lined it up pretty good. So again, that's something that you'll need to watch for when you're actually building these. And that could be why my cut was off, obviously, as well, because I didn't expect my cut to be off. It should have been down a little bit lower. So I will make sure that I get that fixed for the next one. But there we go. That's the card. And it gives you a spot to write in here to say your whatever little saying you want to say. Of course, you could write more on the back if you wanted to. But I just felt like this was a cool little card to make. You can add the extra bling. So again, this would be, I used the green for it. So again, you could use the green, you could use the red, you could use the gold, any of the bling that you'd like to finalize it. But because this card is damaged, I'm not going to waste the bling on it. I'm going to have to do some adjustments. All right, so that is what I wanted to show you guys today. Hopefully you got some inspiration on not only using this particular paper, but how you can take one paper pack and build multiple different projects. And depending on how your projects work, you might be able to leverage one project's work with another project's work. So like I said, taking this cutout that we did, that we stamped, we didn't have to do the stamp, but that allowed me then to pull this cutout to use on these layouts. And so I thought that was a really good use of that extra that I was going to have anyway. All right. Well, if you have any questions, let me know. I think that once I get back from this retreat, I leave on Wednesday and I'm not back until Tuesday, but I might go ahead and create this as a pre-cut kit. If you're interested in a pre-cut kit for the scrapbooking layout, if you're interested in that pre-cut kit, let me know. Because I am thinking that I might do this as a pre-cut kit. So that would be great to know if people are interested in that or not, and to give me feedback on that. Anyway, I hope everyone has a lovely Sunday. I will do my best to try to be more consistent. I know YouTube, you need to be consistent, but again, I also want to do it when it works for me and not feel like I have to always build something, especially if I don't have time to make something good. And so that's important to me. So again, I will hopefully see you on my next video, and have a great Sunday, like I said. Thanks, everyone. Bye.